So when we think about inventory management, we're talking about all the stuff that your business needs in order to be successful. So when we are thinking about managing inventory, it's about planning for purchasing the things that we need, but also where we're going to get it, where we're going to store it to meet our various needs. So we have inventory, and then also the management of that inventory. And I think kind of a key component here of inventory management is that inventory can soak up a lot of your cash. You can spend a lot of money on stuff. If you're not good at managing that inventory and getting it, making throughput, meaning making your product or getting your service out of that inventory, then you'll run out of cash flow. So, inventory management is actually critical to your financial position as a business. So we can actually organize our inventory items based on how important they are. This basically means that we don't have to manage all inventory items equally. We can set priorities. So in this example, we've got an ABC analysis, which is a way of organizing your inventory items. You would have Class A items are the most important. They're only 20% of your overall inventory items, but they're 80% of the value. And you can consider this 80% of the value in terms of critical to your final product or 80% of the dollar value of those items. People can take both perspectives. Class B items are kind of in the middle. Go up to about 50%, so 20 to 50% of your inventory items. Whereas Class C items are the final 50% of your inventory items. These are the least valuable, and they're also the least important to actively manage. These would be items that are fine if you stock out. These are items that would be easy to replace with alternative items or easy to get from another supplier. So Class C items are the least important to actively manage, while Class A items would be the most important to actively manage and stay in stock. So I like to give this example to my students. Let's say you go to the grocery store and you see that your favorite cereal is on sale. And not only is it on sale, but it's the cheapest you've ever seen it. And it's buy one, get one free. So, as a college student, why wouldn't you buy all the boxes of that cereal? And then, of course, you start thinking about it. It's like, well, I have to have a place to put it, or it might go bad before I could eat the cereal. So there's perishability, there's storage space, and there's also cash. Even if each box of cereal is the cheapest you've ever seen it, if you were to buy 100 boxes or 200 boxes, that still requires significant amount of cash that you might not have. So when we're thinking about inventory management, it's all of those things that we're thinking about. It's resources like cash, it's capacity like storage space, and it's things like perishability of that inventory item. So we have various pressures to hold small inventories. That would be like the expense of storing it, so a holding cost, the cost of financing that inventory, so cost of capital, any taxes, insurance, obsolescence or shrinkage. So that could be theft, or that could be the product actually goes bad, or maybe you just don't need that product anymore. Those would all be pressures for small inventories. But you can also have pressures for large inventories. So if we want to make sure we don't stock out of an item, we want to make sure we can provide that item. That would be related to customer service. If it's expensive to order a new batch of that item, so ordering costs are high, we would want to make sure we order in larger quantities. Maybe transportation costs. I'm trying to get the cheapest per item transportation. So I buy a large quantity to bring down that transportation cost per item. Or maybe I just want to make sure I always have inventory so that my my employees or my equipment always has enough, inventory to maintain their operations. So there are pressures for large inventories as well. Keeping in mind that large inventories soak up more cash. So there's also financial implications for holding extra inventory. So when we think about inventory, it is anything from raw materials to work in process. That's inventory that is partially processed but not yet complete, to finished goods. So finished goods are items that are finished, they're ready to be sold. They haven't been sold yet, so they still show as inventory to me. And then I can be, kind of strategic of how I manage my inventory. So my cycle inventory is my regular inventory plan. How often do I order? I have a cycle of stock that I go through on a regular basis, and that is normal condition inventory management. Safety stock, however, is extra inventory that I hold as a strategic buffer for certain items that I want to make sure I don't stock out of. So safety stock is a buffer to prevent stockouts. Anticipation inventory is where you build inventory in anticipation of a particular event. So, let's say you're planning to run a sale or you have the holidays coming up, you would plan accordingly. And then you have pipeline inventory, which is anything that you have ordered. So it shows as inventory, but it hasn't yet shown up to your facility. That would be considered in the pipeline or pipeline inventory. Okay, so when we're thinking about ordering inventory, as managers, we have to think about how much of each item do I order. So typically when I place orders, I could order as small as one item or as large as, thousands or even hundreds of thousands of items at a time. So where in the middle am I supposed to order my inventory and what amount? And that amount is called our lot size. So our lot size is directly related to not only the size of the order, that is the lot size, but also the frequency that I need to order. If I order larger lot sizes, I don't need to order as frequently, so I order less often. So the longer time between orders, the greater your lot size and the greater your cycle inventory. So you can see that here that we have lot size is the variable Q. So our average inventory level for our cycle, our regular inventory levels, is basically Q plus zero. So this would be the beginning of having that lot size delivered to when you run out. So basically Q plus 0 divided by 2, which gives us Q over 2, which is determined to be my average cycle inventory. We know that anytime I order something, there's a lead time for it to get here. It could be 2 days, it could be 2 weeks, it could be 2 months. It depends on where it's coming from and what kind of transportation and logistics are involved in getting it to my facility. So when I'm considering my pipeline inventory, we have to think about what is my demand during that lead time. Basically, how much demand am I expected to have while I'm waiting on my next delivery? And I need to make sure I have enough inventory to last until that delivery actually arrives. So we have our average demand during our lead time being the period of time I'm waiting on an order to arrive. We have average demand for items per period. This could be per day or per week. We have number of periods in the lead time. So the number of days or number of weeks that I'm waiting after I place an order. And therefore, my pipeline inventory is demand per period times number of periods. So I can actually calculate an optimal lot size. This would be an optimal amount that I would order when I place an inventory order. And that is called my EOQ, or my economic order quantity. So economic order quantity is an optimal lot size that balances ordering cost and holding cost. Um, and and it's wonderful for optimizing cash flow, but it does have limitations. So there are some assumptions of the EOQ, like your demand is constant and known. That might not be true in practice. So EOQ might not apply to you, but if you have a very consistent demand and you're relatively sure you know those numbers, this might still apply. There are no constraints on EOQ. So EOQ is not constrained by, let's say, shipping capacities or storage capacities. So it doesn't consider whether or not you actually have storage space. It just considers the average cost of your current storage space and the average cost of ordering each item. It also assumes you know your lead time and that lead time is constant. So that amount of time between you place an order to when that order shows up. So a typical inventory graph would look something like this. You have your inventory shows up, in a truck, your shipment arrives, and then you use the inventory item over time until you run out and you receive the next order. You use that inventory over time until you receive the next order, right? So this is kind of the inventory graph. This red line in the middle would be considered your average cycle inventory. And from one order being received till the next order is received is considered one cycle. We also know that there is an annual holding cost, which is the amount to store or hold an inventory item on average. So that would be our average cycle inventory times our holding cost. And there's usually an ordering cost as well. So this is an administrative cost of placing another order. So this would be the number of orders that you place per year times your average ordering cost. So our total cost would be these two costs together, our holding cost plus our ordering cost. Note that this cost equation does not consider the cost of the actual item. This only considers the cost of ordering and holding an item and then optimizing around ordering and holding costs. So the larger my lot size, the larger my holding cost. If I order in bigger lots, I have more inventory showing up at once and I have to have a place to put it. So larger lot sizes are associated with larger holding costs. However, when I have larger lot sizes, I don't have to order as frequently, so my ordering cost goes down. Whereas if I have small lot sizes, I don't have to store it, but I have to order a lot more frequently to get enough inventory in hand, and therefore my ordering cost would be higher. So you'll see here that as lot size increases, ordering cost goes down, but holding cost goes up. So our total cost equation actually forms a curve here. It's these two lines added together. And the minimum of that curve is your optimal lot size that we would call the EOQ. So our cost equation, and keep in mind, this is not including the cost of the item itself. This is simply the cost between holding and ordering. So our cost equation is our average lot size, Q over 2, times my holding cost. This is the cost of holding over the course of the year, plus my annual demand divided by lot size times my ordering cost. So this would be the average ordering cost over the course of the year. And if I set those two terms equal to each other and solve for Q, I'm going to find that Q solves out to this equation here. EOQ, which is the optimal lot size, economic order quantity, which is the square root of 2 times annual demand times ordering cost divided by holding cost. We can also use EOQ to figure out if I'm using my optimal lot size, I can also find out the optimal time between orders. And as a reminder, the reason this is an optimal lot size is because it minimizes those two costs. So this is your cheapest option from an inventory management perspective is to use the EOQ lot size. And then, of course, we can tell from this equation how the variables will interact. For example, if demand goes up, your optimal lot size will also go up. If your ordering costs go up, then lot size would also go up. Or if your ordering cost goes down, your optimal lot size would also go down. Holding cost is an inverse relationship. So if holding cost goes up, your optimal lot size would go down. Or if holding cost goes down, so it's cheaper to store something, then your optimal lot size would go up. So the holding cost is the only one where the relationship is reverse. So hopefully you learned something about inventory management and optimal lot sizes. See you next time.